Have you ever promised yourself, "From tomorrow I will change," and then tomorrow never really came? I used to do the same, until I read one book that completely changed how I understand habits. That book is Atomic Habits. When I first picked up the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, I honestly thought it would be just another typical self-help book saying things like, "So work harder or stay motivated." But this book surprised me in the best way possible. It doesn't shout at you to change your life overnight. Instead, it gently explains something very powerful. Real change doesn't come from huge dramatic actions. It comes from tiny daily habits. And that idea alone can completely change the way you see success, failure, motivation, and even your own identity. Let me ask you something. How many times have you started something with full motivation? Maybe gym, studying, waking up early, or learning a new skill. You feel excited for a few days, maybe even a week, and then slowly everything fades away. You blame yourself. You think you're lazy. You think you lack discipline. But James Clear says something very different. He says the problem is not you. The problem is the system you are using. And when I heard that, it felt like someone finally explained my entire life. The core idea of the book is very simple but extremely powerful. Tiny habits, repeated consistently, lead to remarkable results. He calls them atomic habits, because just like atoms are small but powerful, small habits can create massive change over time. Imagine improving just 1% every day. 1% feels like nothing, right? But over a year, those tiny improvements compound and make you almost 37 times better than when you started. And the opposite is also true. Tiny bad habits, if repeated daily, slowly destroy your progress without you even realizing it. One of the most impactful concepts in this book is identity. Most people try to change their life by setting goals like, "I want to lose weight," or "I want to read more books," or "I want to become successful." But James Clear says, instead of focusing on what you want to achieve, focus on who you want to become. For example, instead of saying, "I want to read more," say, "I am a reader." Instead of, "I want to go to the gym," say, "I am someone who takes care of their body." When you change your identity, your habits start to follow naturally. Every small action then becomes a vote for the person you want to become. I personally love this idea because it removes pressure. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to show up consistently. Even reading 1 page a day is a vote for becoming a reader. Even doing 5 push-ups is a vote for becoming a fit person. Even writing 1 paragraph is a vote for becoming a writer. And when you repeat these small votes daily, your identity slowly starts to shift. Another powerful idea from the book is about why habits actually exist. James Clear explains that habits are not something we do. Habits are something our brain builds to save energy. Your brain loves efficiency. That's why you can brush your teeth without thinking, scroll your phone automatically, or open social media without even realizing it. These are habits, and once you understand how habits work, you can learn how to design better ones instead of fighting yourself every day. He breaks every habit into 4 steps: cue, craving, response, and reward. Every habit starts with a cue, something that triggers your brain. Then comes craving, the desire to change your state. Then response, the action you take. And finally reward, which teaches your brain whether this habit is worth remembering. For example, your phone buzzes, cue. You feel curious, craving. You pick up the phone, response. And you get entertainment or connection, reward. That's how habits are formed and reinforced. The beauty of the book is that it doesn't just explain psychology. It gives you practical ways to change habits. One of the most practical ideas is habit stacking. This means you attach a new habit to an existing one. For example, after I brush my teeth, I will read 1 page of a book. After I make tea, I will write 1 idea. After I open my laptop, I will work for 5 minutes. Because you already have existing habits, you can use them as anchors to build new ones. He also talks about making habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. These 4 rules are like a blueprint for building good habits and breaking bad ones. If you want to build a habit, make it visible. Put the book on your pillow. Keep your gym clothes near your bed. If you want to make it attractive, associate it with something enjoyable. If you want to make it easy, reduce friction. Don't plan to study 2 hours. Start with 2 minutes. And if you want it to stick, make it satisfying. Track your progress. Celebrate small wins. What I really appreciate about this book is how realistic it is. It doesn't expect you to become a perfect robot with perfect discipline. It accepts that you will fail sometimes. It accepts that motivation comes and goes, but it teaches you how to design an environment where the right choices become the easy choices. And honestly, that's life-changing. Instead of depending on willpower, you depend on smart systems. One story in the book that stayed with me is about British cycling. For years, they were average. Then their coach focused on improving everything by just 1%. Better seats, better tires, better nutrition, better sleep, better training environment, tiny improvements everywhere. And those small changes turned them into world champions. This perfectly shows the power of compounding. You don't need one big breakthrough. You need hundreds of tiny improvements. If you are someone who feels stuck in life, if you feel like you start things but never stay consistent, if you feel guilty for not being disciplined enough, this book feels like therapy. It removes shame and replaces it with strategy. It tells you that success is not about intensity. It's about consistency. It's not about motivation, it's about environment. It's not about huge goals, it's about tiny systems. By the end of this book, you don't just feel inspired. You feel equipped. You understand why you behave the way you do. You understand how to change without forcing yourself. And most importantly, you realize that you don't need to change everything at once. You just need to start small and stay consistent. And honestly, that message is powerful. Because most people quit not because they are weak, but because they try to do too much too soon. Atomic Habits teaches you to think long-term, to trust the process, to respect small progress. And when you start living like that, your entire mindset changes. If I had to summarize this book in one sentence, it would be this: you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And once you understand that, you stop chasing motivation and start building habits that quietly shape your future. And honestly, that message is powerful. Because most people quit not because they are weak, but because they try to do too much too soon. Atomic Habits teaches you to think long-term, to trust the process, to respect small progress. And when you start living like that, your entire mindset changes. If I had to summarize this book in one sentence, it would be this: you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And once you understand that, you stop chasing motivation and start building habits that quietly shape your future.